People tend to think that the dark web is some kind of joke, and that it's a side of the internet that you can go to when you're bored. It's not. And I learned that the hard way. An experience I'll never forget. It started way back then, when news about the dark web was still booming around the internet. I lived in a relatively small town, and it can get pretty boring, not having anything exciting to do. You wake up, go to school, hang out with some friends, go home, play video games, sleep, repeat. So, when I heard about some chatter in my high school about the dark side of the internet, I just had to know about it. One afternoon, I overheard a few of my friends talking and joined in the conversation. We ended up standing there in the classroom, talking for nearly an hour. They explained everything they knew, like how to access it using a browser called Tor, and the strange forums they'd found. The kinds of things people supposedly did there, like how you could hire a hitman on yourself or something crazy like that. But what I was intrigued by the most were the alleged scary videos, like leaked footage of actual aliens or classified cases of demonic possession. My friends talked about what they saw, and I really wanted to see it for myself. And so, I ran home, and the moment I entered my room, I locked the door and booted up my laptop. After 30 minutes of figuring out how to download this Tor browser, I finally got through it and began my search. I saw it. Countless forums and links leading to all sorts of websites. People selling hardcore drugs, advertisements of hitmen for hire, and other things. After 30 minutes of scrolling and switching page after page, I started opening some links that I thought seemed fine. The links brought me to even more pages and more links with titles that looked like snuff films and other more fucked up shit I'd rather not mention. I was really starting to feel like I was seeing shit I wasn't supposed to. And I'm not the most tech-savvy guy, but I knew the basics and knew how not to just click any link I see. I saw a bunch of creepy-ass videos which, whether real or fake, were scary nonetheless. And after about 10 minutes of more scrolling, I got bored of seeing the same stuff over and over, and thought about closing it all. And just as I was about to leave, something caught my eye. It was an ad for a circus. It was titled The Red Rabbit Circus. It was strange and stood out from the rest of the ads. I thought about it for a sec and made the risky and stupid decision to click the ad and see where it takes me. The page loaded instantly. The screen was completely black, except for the title and some text that said, "Behold the Red Rabbit Circus. Watch our performers do stunts with comedy and grace. If you're looking for some fun, then you've come to the right place." And a timer below that counted down. There was 4 minutes left. I noticed something at the top right corner. It seemed like a viewer count of some kind. It was going up rather fast. There was already almost 200 people watching. I decided to at least wait for what it was all about. And so, I waited what felt like way longer than 4 minutes. The seconds dragged on, and I was sitting on my chair, rocking back and forth, staring at the timer, trying to make sense of it. What kind of circus would advertise itself in the dark web? And why go through all this secrecy if it was just any other normal circus? Right. There was no way it was any other normal circus. Why else would it be this obscure? I was starting to regret my decision. I had a feeling something bad was gonna happen. Then, he counted down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Red Rabbit Circus.
I didn't know what to expect. The stream opened up into some 90s style looking circus or game show. Cheerful, upbeat music playing in the background, the kind meant to keep an audience excited. The lights were harsh and colorful, almost blinding. And when the camera panned to the audience, it revealed that everyone, and I mean everyone in the crowd, was wearing this eerie-looking white rabbit mask that covered their whole face. They were cheering and yelling, like ones you'd usually see at shows or events like this. There was an announcer or host of some kind. It was this tall man with a white and red suit and a rabbit mask, its smiling expression frozen in place as he gestured theatrically towards the crowd. For a moment, it almost felt ridiculous, like it was all just an elaborate joke, something staged to look unsettling but ultimately harmless. I actually chuckled under my breath, wondering why I'd been so tense in the first place. And that's when the man in the suit spoke.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Mr.Grimhare. My, I sure am seeing a lot of cheery and smiley faces tonight. Welcome to all returning viewers and newcomers. We have a very special treat for you all. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this. Are you ready?
The moment the host said, "Are you ready?" the crowd burst into cheers, with some people standing and clapping their hands, like the most exciting thing was about to happen.
Are you ready?
The host did it again, and this time the audience were all standing and clapping their hands in unison. The camera panned towards the ceiling above the audience, revealing metal cases with hoses and nets. The stream was too blurry to make out exactly what it was holding.
Are you ready to get bloody?
The metal casing snapped open. The nets broke loose, releasing what could only be described as guts and animal parts. The hoses sprayed this bloody red substance from the ceiling and onto everyone on the crowd as they cheered. The crowd was literally cheering and clapping their hands as they were being showered with blood, animal parts, and God knows what else raining down from the ceiling. Then the camera snapped towards the show host, revealing some blood on him too. His mask, what used to be a white, bright mask, turned into a deep red color. There was some blood on the stage too, and just behind the show host, you could see a severed pig head bleeding on the stage.
That was quite a shower, wasn't it? Now, folks, We're just getting started. Don't lose your heads just yet.
At that moment, when the audience cheered, two performers came out of the backstage. They both wore these pig masks and oversized clown costumes. One man had a mask with a crude frown painted across it and trails of leaking ink from its eye sockets. The other one had a wide, exaggerated smile across its face. The one with the sad mask sounded like he was sobbing, like actually sobbing. He was making these moans and cries, like he was trying to say words, but they came out slurred and broken, and his tears were leaking from beneath the mask, smearing the makeup around it. They were dancing and swaying, making these exaggerated movements in the middle of the stage. As the curtains from the side slid open, two more figures followed, pushing a massive wooden wheel onto the stage, with dark and red stains covering the surface, and shackles were bolted around the edges. They lifted the crying performer by his arms, and he was dragged without resistance. They strapped him onto the wheel. He didn't struggle. He didn't move at all. He just kept sobbing. Then, they walked up to the other performer with the smiling mask and gave him 3 throwing axes. I had a feeling I knew exactly what was going to happen. Before they began any further, I tried closing the browser. I couldn't. I couldn't even exit the full screen. It wouldn't let me leave. At that moment, they began to spin the wheel, and the smiling pig began to aim. He threw his first axe. It landed right next to the man's torso, just narrowly missing him. He aimed again. This one landed right onto the man's arm, severing the artery. Blood began spewing out of the man's arm as he was screaming in pain, while the other man was laughing manically. Then he aimed again. This one landed directly onto the man's head, and he stopped moving. The smiling pig began laughing even more, hyping up the crowd. Then a worker came by onto the stage and gave the smiling pig his prize, a chainsaw. He took the chainsaw and ran over to the man's lifeless body and began sawing his limbs off. I was frozen in fear from the sheer horror. I was just sitting there in shock. Then, the smiling man turned towards the audience, covered in head to toe with blood. He lifted the chainsaw and ramped it up even more. Then, he slammed his head onto the blade. His mask split apart and revealed his face, a man with a huge smile on his face, who looked to be around to his 60s. He was fucking insane. Everyone there was fucking insane. I looked at the top right corner and saw the viewer count. Millions of people were watching. I snapped out of it and jumped from my chair, flipping my laptop over, ready to rip out the battery and destroy the whole thing if I had to. I grabbed a screwdriver from my desk. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. Then, the host said something.
Guess all 3 little piggies couldn't keep their heads, could they? But wait, something's wrong here. There's only 2 pigs. One little piggy wandered off somewhere he wasn't supposed to. Isn't that right, James?
What? Who the fuck did he?
Is Isn't that right, James?
I looked at the screen in utter shock. The show host, he said my name.
Come on, folks. Let's give our pal James a warm round of applause. What's his name? Spell it out for him, everyone.
I was frozen in fear. I looked at the camera and noticed the green light flickering next to it.
What does that
What?
spell, everyone? James!
What the fuck? Without saying a word, I ran up to get the baseball bat. I had to break my laptop and throw it away, because there was no chance at all that I would ever let any of those people find me. They knew my name. They saw my face. I keep waking up at night. When I close my eyes, I still see those masks staring back at me. I haven't said a word to anyone. How could I? Like they'd ever believe me. And I fear that if I do say this to anyone, if I even mention anything about what I saw to anyone, one afternoon, as I got home from school, there was a package at our doorstep. There was no sender. It was for me.